memang toko ada buat salah, so salahkan toko kerana toko kena bayar. Toko kena bayar lebih. Yi akan dapat lebih banyak daripada dia. So say that. Okay?
And is it relevant if we put section 81 as well? Dia cakap
Okay.
pasal expiry of maintenance tu.
You can bring in if they marry or remarry and all that. Yes, you can bring in. But the important sections will be the one which talks about maintenance. I think it's section 95, is it? Correct? How long are we supposed to maintain the child?
Oh yeah, until they reach the age
That's
of 18
important
tu.
here. Okay, for the wife, of course, you can bring in the wife's amount, which is, for herself, section 77, and then you must say she's not the cause of that one you bringing, and you say, and bringing the case. But for children, here you've got two children. One is, siapa nama dirang, Lucas, right? Lucas and Anne, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Lucas is how old? Lucas is
3 years old.
Lucas 3 years old. And the N how old is N?
Anne is 12 years old.
What about N? N is actually
She has Down syndrome.
She is the Toko's niece and she's 12 years old. So what else do you discuss here? A niece. They have adopted her, right? There they have adopted her after the death of Anne's parents. So what about an adopted child? Do we also maintain an adopted child? Do we also maintain an adopted child? Cepatlah. Pukul 4 nanti aku dah kena keluar tau. Cepat sikit jawab, can or not? Do we also maintain an adopted child?
Yes, if he was legally adopted.
Yes, of course. No need to say even if legally, even an adopted. Look at the meaning of child. Who is a child? A child is a child who we adopt. In that meaning of a child, they already say a child who is brought into the family as a family member, a child who is adopted. All these children need to be maintained. Kalau kita adopt, kita kena maintain. Common sense kan? Tak payah, no need to think also. Common sense, if you adopt the child, have to maintain the child, isn't it? So you have already adopted the child, so of course you have to maintain the child. And how long do we maintain the child? Who's a Down syndrome child?
If by following section 95 tu, dia cakap if the child is under physical and mental disability on the ceasing of the disability. Maksudnya kalau macam Down syndrome tu tak elok-elok sampai dia mati, so macam sampai dia mati lah dia kena maintenance.
Down syndrome memang tak akan elok pun sampai mati. So the disability will, so until the disability ceases. So because in her case she's a Down syndrome, she have to be maintained until her lifetime. So that's what you say. What about Lucas?
For Lucas, until he attained the age of 18.
Until 18 lah.
Yeah.
Then after that, no need to maintain.
Kalau dia sambung study, we need to the father need to pay for the educational expenses until each of them has obtained their first university degree.
Yes. So basically for Lucas will be until he reaches the age of 18, and if he decides after the age of 18 to further his studies, then the father will have to maintain him until he obtains his first degree. That's what you need to say for Lucas. Although he's 3 years old now, but he need to maintain you. So the father will have to maintain him until he's 18. And if in case Lucas decides to further his studies, then the father will need to maintain him until he obtains his first degree. All right. So C, the right of division of the matrimonial property. Right of division will be for Yi lah here. Right of division.
May I try again? Hello?
Yes, it looks like it's only going to be the two of you only trying over and over again. The rest all freeloaders just sit down, take down everything. They have not prepared, so they just join in.
Okay. So we begin with section 76, subsection 1 of LRA about the power of court. When granting the decree of divorce or judicial separation to order division of any joint effort matrimonial assets between the parties. And then we define the asset or the property by using the case of Ching Seng War. Dia cakap the property refers to the matrimonial home and everything which is put in by either spouse with the intention that their home and chattels should be a continuing resource for the spouse and their children to be used jointly and severally for the benefit of the family as a whole. It is irrelevant whether the assets are required solely or by their joint efforts. Whilst the marriage subsists, those assets are matrimonial assets. Lepas tu,
Again. Why are you talking about joint property and sole property? You're reading section 76, right?
yeah, tadi 76 one, and then
Oh.
I define the property by using the case of Ching Seng War.
Yeah, but now bear in mind we are no more looking at joint and sole property. Section 76 talks about property which has been acquired during marriage, right?
Ya, betul.
So I know you can bring in the case of Chin Singer, but there are newer cases that you're supposed to talk about matrimonial property now. Because now the newer cases are no more talking about sole property, joint property. So kita dah tak lihat lagi joint property, sole property.
Oh, case Wong Kim Fong Prof.
I don't know which case you're bringing in. Any newer case?
Jap.
First thing, you're supposed to identify the property that they have. What are the properties are we talking about here?
The matrimonial house.
Okay.
The shares owned by Toko.
One is a matrimonial house. Shares. What else?
Lottery tu boleh ke Prof? Sebab lottery.
What else? What are the properties that we're looking at here? What are the properties? Come on, list out the properties first. Before you can tell what need to be, you always say, what are the properties that need to be shared here now? What are the properties?
The lotteries one?
Sorry?
The lotteries one.
Only lottery lah.
Their matrimonial home at Rawang, and then the shares owned by Toko. So the lottery?
So there are three properties that we're supposed to look at: matrimonial home, shares, and the lottery. So now you decide how is she going to get a share out of all these things. And what are the courts going to look at? Is the house under her name? Is the shares under her name? Is the lottery won by her? So you must look at all these things. Whether when courts want to divide it, whether the property belong to her or not, first thing. Is it anything that belongs to her?
Maybe arguably the matrimonial house belongs to her, like I think 50% kot, because she contributed in paying the monthly installment towards the AIA housing loan.
Mm-hmm. And then?
I think yang lain tu dia macam it's not owned by Gigi, but then the contribution dia in the macam as a wife in supporting
No, what is the
husband ke,
contribution towards the house?
dia bayar monthly installment tu.
So monthly installment she has been paying lah.
Yeah.
So if monthly installment she has been paying, then she can get the whole house what?
No. Because
Why?
she only pays like sikit-sikit je. Dia tak ada
Why
bagi
you
tahu
say she only
how
pay
much.
sikit-sikit? Why you say she only pay sikit-sikit?
In the question it was mentioned that she stopped the payment when she quit her job.
And then
Because
tell lah. Why you say she pay the monthly installment? When you go and tell she paid the monthly installment, it is statement saying that she has paid the monthly installments. Dalam soalan dah kata that she has paid the monthly installment, but however she stopped paying the monthly installment when she quitted her job, when she had to take care. And why she stopped the job? Why? Because she had to take care of the child, she got pregnant, and she started taking care of the household. Now, all these things are important in the question, it's not meant put there for untuk kita hiaskan soalan itu untuk kamu. So when you also give us half big story, we also will give you all half big marks only. You must understand that. Understand or not? The question dah kata yang dia bayar dan dia berhenti bayar kerana dia mengandung dan dia kena jaga family. All that itu you kena argue in your question. Dan kalau kamu tak argue, kita pun taklah bagi kamu markah yang kamu perlukan itu. You faham tak? Tadi siapa yang jawab that she paid the monthly installment?
Me.
You tak baca ke?
Baca. Tapi saya cakap
Baca.
dia bayar sikit-sikit sebab dia macam dia quit separuh jalan. Lepas
So
tu,
yang quit tu siapa yang nak cakap? Saya kena cakap untuk kamu lah ya.
tak, saya cakap sepatutnya. Sorry
You
Prof.
kena cakap. Understand you because the moment you mention in your answer she pay, it's look like as though she's paying the monthly installment. So you cannot. Always remember, apa saja yang kita tulis tu bukan untuk hiasan dalam soalan je. Dia ada kena mengena dalam soalan tu argument. For the house, she only paid the monthly installment but she stopped paying because she got pregnant. Take note, she got pregnant and she started taking care of the family. So what is that? When you say she got pregnant, she started taking care of the family. What is that? What do you need to discuss? What do you need to discuss?
The contribution of Gigi in the marriage.
Yes, her contribution, her indirect contribution of taking care of the family. That is what that the courts will now take into account. Saya mungkin tak bayar sepenuhnya. Saya mungkin hanya bayar sedikit. Tapi saya telah jaga keluarga. Saya telah jaga anak. Dan saya quit my job to take care of the family. That is a contribution which the courts will take into account. Cuba kau tengok dalam bahagian section 76B. Bukan B, section 76 sub 2. Can you see not 76 sub 2 dia ada A. Ada tak? Contribution, they take into account contribution, indirect contribution. Ada tak? Dalam section 76. Ada tak? 76 sub A dia ada. Apa yang dia kata? A sama tu apa yang dia kata? Mana satu yang relevan? Yang mana satu? Ada tak dia kata A jaga anak lah something ada yang dia contribution. Ada kan? Cepatlah sikit.
Ada, Prof.
Apa ada? Apa yang ada? Ada Prof. Apa yang ada?
The couple also took care of Toko's niece, 12-year-old Down syndrome
I'm
child.
asking section 76 sub 2. Apa yang ada dalam section 76 sub 2?
Oh, sorry.
Yang
Paragraph A, the extent of the contribution made by each party in money
Aha.
or
Yes.
work towards the acquiring of the asset.
Yes. Ada kan? And then also got something about taking care of children, all that. Ada kan? That is the argument that you need to bring in. Faham tak? Because she took care. So in that situation, the courts will take into and possibility that the courts may award her a half share of the property or even 60% of the property because you want your client is Yi. So of course you nak lebih untuk dia. Correct or not? So that is what you're supposed to bring in. Now don't talk about you can bring in the Ching Seng Hua case and whatever old cases, but remember when you bring in, you say nowadays, you must say, nowadays courts do not look into sole property and joint property. So for the fact that even if the property is not under Yi's name, or even if she have not contributed fully to the property, she can still get a proportion of the property. The courts will still take into account her contribution. And what is her contribution? You argue lah, you kata lah. So you kena jawab dalam soalan kamu that sekarang in nowadays the courts do not take into account jointly and solely because jointly means dua-dua kena ada nama. Solely means satu orang yang kena ada nama. So in your question you must say nowadays the courts, the new law does not take into account anymore the fact of jointly and solely joint property. Now the courts will take into account the contribution that the parties have made into the taking care of the family or in acquiring the property. In acquiring the property, what you have contributed. So in your question, you discuss lah. Now in terms of share, the large portfolio of shares, there is a case we say that she can get a division of the property and even the lottery ticket, there is a case which says that she can seek for a share in that property. Ada case. You go and cari for the case, shares punya pun ada and even for lottery ticket pun. Kalau you menang lottery dalam case tu pun ada kata lottery ticket pun kamu boleh kongsi. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next question. And that is D. Right of custody.
Prof.
Yes, I know it's you again answering.
No, I want to ask a question actually.
Okay, what?
Kalau soalan pasal custody kan, do we need to like list out all the factors macam welfare of child, wishes of parents, wishes of the child tu semua? Or kita just pilih yang relevan dekat Gigi punya je?
Mestilah kena ada welfare tu, kena cari siapa yang relevan tu, kenalah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Jawapan tak ada.
So for this question, we start with section 2 of the Guardianship of Infant Act by defining a child, which is a child is a person who has not reached the age of 21. And then referring to section 87 of the LRA, a child is below the age of 18. Lepas tu section 5 subsection 2 of the Guardianship Infant Act and section 88 subsection 1 of the LRA authorize both of the parents to apply for custody of the child under the marriage. And then LRA also allowed the application of custody even if there was no pending action for divorce. So there are three main factors that will be looked into. First one is the welfare of the children by virtue of Section 11 of the Guardianship Infant Act, which is inconsistent with Section 88 subsection 2 of the LRA, where the welfare of the child is the paramount consideration of the court in ascertaining the custody of the child, referring to the case of retained. And then second factor is wishes of the parents, according to Section 11 of the Guardianship Infant Act and also Section 88 subsection 2A of the LRA, where the court also need to take the wish of the parents into account but subject to the welfare of the child. We refer to the case of Mahabir Prasad and Mahabir Prasad, where the desire of the parents is the secondary consideration secondary consideration. And then third factor is wishes of the child, according to Section 88 subsection 2B of the LRA. It emphasizes that the wish of the child also can be taken into account but subject to the welfare of the children. This is in reference to Chang Ahmeh and A. Francis Teh Tian Sa. And then also because in this case it was mentioned that Lucas is 3 years old, we should also look into Section 88 subsection 3, where there is a rebuttable presumption where a child that has not attained the age of 7 is better to be taken care by the mother.
Okay. So who gets the custody?
So for Lucas,
Mm-hmm.
the custody will be given to Yi because he is below the age of 7, unless Toko could rebut the statutory presumption. But then here it was mentioned that Toko always comes home drunk, and then because of his temper issue, so Toko's bad
Yes.
character could his right as the father could be seized because of that. And
Yes.
then
Okay. Mm-hmm.
for both for Anne and Lucas,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the welfare of the children, it could be inferred that Yi could get the custody because Yi are the one has been taken care of the children.
Mm-hmm. What about Anne?
And also sama juga Yi akan get the custody.
Yeah, but what about independent opinion? Anne is already 12 years old. Can she give an independent opinion? Look at the age. 12 tahun, 15 tahun, they can ask the opinion. Will they ask the opinion of the child? Independent opinion? Kan ada dalam section 88 katakan anak tu kalau boleh dia boleh bagi independent opinion. So, in Anne situation macam mana?
I think the court will ask her opinion, but then also the court will also look into the welfare of Anne. Kalau Anne rasa macam she wanted to live with Toko, but then looking into Toko's behaviour, the court will think that it is better for Anne to live with Yi. So it's subject to discretion of the court.
So Anne can give independent opinion.
Yes.
Take
If
note.
she is able to express her opinion.
Can
Tapi
she
dia ada
express?
Down syndrome, so macam so benda tu it is quite arguable lah whether her opinion macam matters or not.
Yes, exactly. So you must take note. You see, independent opinion is for children who are like 8, 9 years old or 10 years old. They can give their opinion of which parent they want to. But in her case, you must say the court may take her opinion, but it must be with cautious as she is not a normal child. Understand or not? They may, they will take her. No, you cannot say that. They may take her opinion to account, but with cautious as she is not a normal child. You must say that. Okay, but take note that this custody will only be for Lucas how long? When will it cease custody? Bila dia akan berhenti? Bila? For Lucas. When will the custody cease? Berapa lama mak tu nak jaga dia?
Sampai 7 years old?
Ha? No. Sampai bila mak dia nak jaga dia? Lucas tu. Custody ceases when? When does custody ceases?
Years old.
Huh?
18, right?
Which section says that?
Section 95.
Yes, section 95 says at the age of 18, Lucas can decide where he wants to stay or where he wants to go. But what about Anne? Will it stop at 18? Will it stop at 18 for Anne?
No.
No. So, she will be taken care for how long?
Until the end of her lifetime.
Yes, until the end of her lifetime because she is not a normal child. All right, next one, last one, the legal protection which is available to the relevant parties in view of the abuse caused by Toko. So the relevant parties here is Yi and the children. What is the legal protection?
Prof, may I try?
You don't have a choice also. Nobody's answering. You and your other girl here, it's only one. Okay?
So we start the answer with section 103 of the LRA on the injunction against molestation. And then we proceed to case of Chang Ah Moy, where the court held that the wife would not be able to obtain immediate injunction to restrain her husband from molesting her unless she filed a divorce or for any other matrimonial proceedings against her husband. Maksudnya section 103 ni boleh guna but then kena ada divorce proceeding. So like it's kind of hard. However, next we can get the protection by using section 4A of Married Women Act. But then the problem with this is it is the wife only get monetary compensation but no protection. So hence we are using Domestic Violence Act Section 2 and Section 3A, where the wife can get EPO, Emergency Protection Order, and then if dia macam still be beaten by the husband, can go for Section 4 to get IPO, which needs to the wife needs to file a police report and need to go to court. And so far macam tu lah dia punya flow. And then this one must be read together with the section in the penal code. Cannot stand on its own.
Is that all?
Yes, my answer for this part is not complete enough because macam tak sempat. Sorry, Prof.
Okay, so which one did you bring in? You talk about first thing 103.
Yes, 103 LRA. Di
Okay,
Pasir
then what do you
Injunction.
say? Can she apply for 103?
No, because there is no divorce proceeding yet.
We haven't started the divorce proceedings yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Then next one.
Next one, I discuss on Section 4A of Married Women Act on the
Okay.
capacity for husband and wife to sue each other.
Mm-hmm.
But then I counter back with the problem with this section. The wife
Mm-hmm.
only get monetary compensation but no
Yes.
protection.
Okay, no protection. Okay, then
Yeah. Then
finally
I
she
move
can go to DVA. So DVA, which section first?
Section 2 and Section 3A.
Section 2 is the meaning of domestic violence. Section 3
Yeah.
is what?
Section 3, any complaint of the commission of domestic violence must be
Mhm.
investigated by the police officer using both the provisions of the DVA and the penal code and thus bound by the investigation procedures under the CPC.
So I gave you all during the last tutorial, step by step, what section goes first for DVA. Section 2, then section 3, then what is the first protection that she goes under DVA?
The EPO,
Yeah, then talk about EPO lah. So what is the EPO?
the emergency protection order
Yeah.
that can be
And
obtained dekat welfare office.
tell her that you can go to the welfare office, get the EPO. And with this, what do you need to do? Do you need to make a police report?
No, just
Yeah,
need macam
there's a section which states very clearly you don't need to make a police report. And how long do you get the protection here?
14 days.
Huh?
14 days.
14 days. Manalah kau ni baca 14 days.
Ke 21?
7 days. 7 days.
7 days. Go and read your LR. You go and read your Domestic Violence Act properly. It's only 7 days. So tell her you can only get the protection for 7 days. And after 7 days, what happens? Then explain to her. You can protect yourself and the children for 7 days. If after 7 days, then what you tell her?
Boleh guna section 4. Lepas
No,
tu,
no, no. After 7 days, first thing, what must you ask her first thing?
are you still being beaten by your husband?
So if there is still violence, not ask her, are you still being beaten? If there is still violence faced by Yi and the children after 7 days, then she goes for section 4 of the IPO. Now in section 4, what does she need to do?
Kena lodge police report. Lepas tu
Yeah.
kena pergi court untuk dapatkan the order.
IPO, yes. According to the section, you go to the court and then you get the IPO. And what will the police do? IPO is an interim protection order. Tell her during this interim protection order, can she ask for any of the protection order under section 6? Can she get any of the orders under section 6?
Yes.
Yeah. What are the orders that she can ask for? What are the orders that she can ask for under Section 6? What are the orders under Section 6 that she can ask for?
Exclusive occupation by victim to a part of the residence, prohibit or restrain offender from entering victim's house, workplace or school.
Yes.
Lepas tu ada victim boleh collect dia punya belongings in the residence.
Belongings, correct. Semua orders itu. Can she ask during IPO? Yes, you said.
Yes.
Kalau you want to go and take your barang, you can go. If you want to evict him, you can ask for these orders under your IPO. Correct? And then you explain all these orders are available, and how long will these orders be available is only for 12 months. Correct or not? So tell her now, these orders are available for her temporarily under this particular IPO. Correct or not? In protection order, it can be for 12 months, but under IPO temporary. Why we say temporary? When will this IPO stop?
Sebab dekat section 6 sub 2 dia cakap duration of ancillary order shall be for 12 months and any extension shall not be made more than once.
Yeah,
Lepas tu dia
but for
macam temporary.
IPO, how long?
Until the investigation ends.
Yes, until the investigation. For protection order, yes, it can go on until 12 months. But under IPO, belum lagi kamu buktikan yang betul benda itu telah berlaku ke tidak. The police is investigating. So what happens after the police has completed the investigation? What do you tell her? What do you tell her after the police have completed the investigation?
To apply for protection order under Section 5 if she is still abused by Toko.
No.
Are we using the section 7 sub 1?
We are still at Section 4. Police complete the investigation. So what did police discover? The police is investigating your case. What will happen to when they investigate the case?
The bahan bukti whether cukup ke tak nak charge the husband for
So
committing
what do you
domestic
tell
violence.
her? So what do you tell her? You're only advising her. So what do you tell her? After investigation, two things can happen. What will happen? Oh my God. I think I did this during tutorial with y'all. I told y'all step by step. This is what happens. This is what happens. What happens after the police investigates? What happens?
Either dia betul-betul kena abuse ataupun tak.
Yeah, so
So she need to go to hospital to do checkup.
oh my God. Mana lah you all.
Maybe
The hospital sepatutnya pergi semasa polis tengah investigate lah. Sekarang investigation sudah habis. So apa dua benda yang boleh berlaku when investigation is completed? What can happen to your case?
apply protection order once a complaint of domestic violence has been made to police.
What are the two things that can happen the moment a completion of an investigation? What are the
IPO
two
dah
things
habis
that can
tempoh?
happen? Itu saya pun tahu IPO dah habis tempoh when the investigation completes. But what happens to the investigation?
Either
What are the two things?
the if there is no cases, no proof of domestic violence, there will be no further action.
Yes.
Or alternatively, if there is proof of domestic violence, the
Yes.
husband will be charged.
Yes, thank you so much. That are the two things that happens when once a investigation is completed. You tell her once the completion of the investigation, IPO will stop. The moment IPO stop, we look at the charge, we look at the investigation. If there is domestic violence, then the husband will be charged. And if there is no domestic violence, then the case will go to NFA, no further action. Then only you say, if no further action, there's no domestic violence, you will not get any more protection. But if looking at your case, there was abuse, and then from the case you apply, you say, dia memang ada kena pukul, ada bukti, then you can now further apply. He's going to be charged in court. When he's going to be charged in court, dia masih lagi bebas, dia belum kena tangkap, because he's going to say, I didn't commit it. He's going to defend himself. So he's still a free man. And if you still need protection, then only you can get protection under Section 5. That is how the answer goes. And I think I did explain this during tutorial. There are two things that happens. One, if there's no further action, and another thing, if kalau ada, the husband is going to be charged. When the husband is going to be charged, he's going to defend himself. When he defends himself, that's when, if you still need protection, then you apply for protection order under Section 5 for yourself and for your children. Section 5 already mentioned there, for yourself and for your children. And if that is the case, then likewise, you can apply for the protection order under Section 6, the same protection order. And that time, that protection order will be available for you for 12 months. That time you can minta untuk 12 bulan kerana masa itu memang dia dah dibuktikan bersalah oleh polis dan dia sedang defend diri dia, dan dengan apa yang dia nak defend suka hati, tapi kamu boleh minta the protection order under Section 5 and also the orders under Section 6, and that orders can proceed for 6 months and it can be extended another 6 months for yourself and for your children. That's what you need to advise her accordingly. And there's a case which explains on all the domestic violence issues. And a part of that, and if she needs other protection for the children, is under the Child Act. Child Act, which section did I say? During tutorial, I remember I mentioned the sections. For the child is what section?
Section 31(1)(a) and Section 28.
Section 31.
31 sub 1 para A and Section 28.
28, and then a part of that you can also look at Section 31 sub 2. If you want to, Section 31 sub 2 and even Section 30 sub 1B. These are certain sections under the Child Act which you can look at in the protection of the children. All right, that's all. Any questions you want to ask me?
So far, so good, Prof.
Okay, and anyone, any questions? So for domestic violence, please remember it's a step-by-step question. Okay, Section 3. After IPO finishes, remember that the moment the investigation completes, there are two things that may happen to the investigation. Firstly, you can say that the case can go for NFA, no further action. That means there was no domestic violence. You tell, there was no domestic violence and your case not proven, then the case will go to NFA. But if at all the case was proven, like in your question, it can be proven that there is domestic violence, then you say, then only you can get Section 5 for your protection, and including you can put in your Section 6. Okay? Remember that, it doesn't mean automatically you go for Section 5. You go automatically, jawapan kamu salah. Alright? Anyone, any questions?
Ada, lupa nak tanya ni. For domestic violence kan, before we proceed with the DVA semua tu, yang section 103 of the LRA, section 4A of Married Women Act, semua tu ada markah ke macam
Ya,
nak
ada
build the
kena.
flow?
Mesti ada markah. Jangan kata hanya domestic violence sahaja. Kalau soalan tu 20 markah, ada 5 markah ke 10 markah ke, I tak tahulah, depending on the division kan. Ada. So don't you ever think that kalau kita discuss 103 tu kita tak ada markah, section 4A, because it is providing, kita kena tengok sebelum DVA dan selepas DVA, macam tu. So jangan lupa mesti start dengan 103 then go to section 4. Maksudnya 103 lepas tu you kata susah, lepas tu section 104 you kata ada tapi dia hanya dapat duit, then you go to DVA. Kena, jangan lupa sebab ada markah. Jangan kata tak ada markah, ada.
So maksudnya dia macam kena discuss dengan cases dia sekali apa semua tu lah ke just
Boleh
briefly
lah.
the provision?
Yes.
Oh, faham. Thank you, Prof.
Kena ada. Jangan kata tak ada. Ada markah. Kita pembahagian markah tu ada masukkan untuk 103. Pembahagian markah tu ada untuk Married Women Act. Ada. Tapi you katalah sebab dia kena proceed untuk divorce, dan you katalah yang ni susah sikit sebab dia hanya bagi duit. Sebab kalau nak protection, DVA yang bagi protection. Then you explain DVA in detail. Okay?
Okay, Prof.
Boleh?
Faham.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other question? Now, if it's okay, if you can't think of anything to ask me now, if at all you do have any question, like I said, you can call me. Please call, don't message because I sometimes overlook messages and I don't reply messages. Call, you know, this now the discussion, I have something to ask you. Please do have your discussion with me. Okay? All right? Okay, when is your paper? On Tuesday, right?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, so all the best. If anything before at all during before your exam, if there's anything that you want to call me and ask me, please feel free to have a discussion with me. All right? Okay then, bye-bye. See you all. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Bye, Prof.
Prof.
Thank you.
Prof.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Prof.